think listening is very important.
Yes.
Because I think the reason why we have come into this situation is also due to not enough listening from government to the ground, and it is a accumulated pressure that has given to all the people in Singapore. I remember in the GE, we all remember that during the GE time, a lot of unhappiness is due to housing, transportation, and so forth. So these things are not come suddenly. Why is it that the problem with it? It actually came in quite a long time ago, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why it has escalated in such a way. Secondly, is also due to feedbacks. I know that the government itself is always willing to listen to feedbacks, but I think with so many years in the grassroots, we realize sometimes when we give feedback doesn't just go through like that, and it will just bounce back to us. And I think people are always asking, I give feedback for what? Why am I giving feedback when my feedback wasn't being valued, and so on and so forth? So I think a lot of people is, firstly, maybe desperate, number one. Number two is, they already gone into an empty hole telling me, so what, I give so much response to the government, but the response are not coming back. So probably that is the reason why it has, people feel very insecure.
We always hear, right? Government not listening. So is it true, or is it government is not agreeing with your suggestion? Because government has a role. They cannot just listen to everyone. They must decide, and that's why you choose a government.
I think it's not explicit enough. As in, government may be listening, but for major policies introduction or for major changes, right, there should be consultation sessions. So it is official, is publicized, very well publicized through media and all. So people that are interested can come down and ask questions, and then changes adopted will be credited to them.
Sure.
So people can actually feel the government is actually listening, and then for those that don't accept your explanation, then we can't change their opinion now.
But don't you think that there are actually many consultation?
But it's not obvious enough. It's not obvious.
So how you want to make it more obvious? I mean, the press covers a lot of it. The government websites cover a lot of it. But
the problem is that the population is not going to government website.
I think governments are making an effort to seek feedback. But social media now. Honestly, if you just go to Yahoo News, every piece of news below there'll be hundreds of, if not thousands of comments. Those are the real comments of people, how they feel. Honestly, when we come to consultation forums like this, certain comments might be filtered, certain comments might be put in a very more polite manner. When you go to like Yahoo, when you go to certain forums, right, those are really the real comments of very lay people. I believe the government are listening, but it's just a matter of penetrating through the platforms and going to where the ground people are and taking a proactive role in seeking out opinions.
But the problem with all these things, as Graham has also mentioned in the last part, is very unmoderated and there's a lot of noise. Okay? So it's very hard to get any real feedback out of that. And there is like everybody shouting at the same time. I will just trumpet my own view. Somebody else will trumpet their own view. If you read some of the comments, there's very little engagement between. Some may agree, but after a while they'll say something else. And that's fine if you're talking about sports or technology or photography or your favorite film star or so, But when it comes to policies, it's not that useful, and that's the problem. But it's very attractive because you can say anything you want, and at the same time, you feel that people are reading it, which is probably also true. But what comes out of it is another question. Okay, so there's no answer to that. And I think PM has also touched upon this in his English part of the speech, where he says that that you have to find a way to engage these people Okay, and coming back to the original question, so how do you show that the government is listening? I mean, we can maybe just send somebody there and then we can write "we are listening" and so on. But I don't think this would satisfy anyone.
And I think at the lower ground of society, the lower fragments, I think there are these elements. I mean, you know, in 4 p.m. we deal with a lot of lower income families, for example, particularly the Malay families, and a lot of them struggle with a lot of issues at hand, with education and so on and so forth. And I think VWOs play a huge part in working together with the government, in this case, to translate these issues. I think Mendaki and so on. Example, taking the Malay community, for example. So, but we find a lot of difficulties because a lot of these, for example, students or families, they always find that the government is just up there, they're doing their things. They don't really care about us. While they speak about it in rhetoric, but the reality of it is just that economy. That's how some of them perceive. So a lot of these things when helps are being given. Sometimes, you know, when we talk with these families and they're going to apply for CDAC, for example, but the amount of paperwork that they have to go through, sometimes it's really, really a lot. And a lot of these people, they are actually quite embarrassed to ask for help. And a lot of them just tell us, fine, it's okay. This auntie, for example, makcik, or I say, forget it, don't need, I don't want to ask for help. I want to ask for help also like begging the government. This is the words, this one leader will say that. So sometimes it's quite sad, you know, why it turns out like that. But I think there are a lot of organizations out there who's doing this work down. But just now you asked a question regarding how do you know whether the government is putting in, is actually listening to things. I thought like now Minister Kowunwan, he actually updates his blog and stuff like that. I think this is the kind of transparency that generation of today is actually looking forward to. The idea that, not to say that you're doing work, but really to just tell us what is happening. Let us know, make us part of it. Yes, the government has to take pragmatic approaches, not just populist. I think this was mentioned also. It is not just, you know, we are running, we all know that economics is the most important thing. But we also want to know that we are part of this whole decision making. And I think PM really signaled a very positive thought from my perspective. A positive tone in his speech. He really says, we know we've made mistakes, we know we haven't done it all well, but we are working at it. And I think that signals quite a lot. So I guess there's a lot of optimism moving forward. But really it's just to highlight and share more information with us that what is happening on the ground, what's up with the BPO and so on and so forth. Because I think these are issues that is affecting a lot of Singaporeans these days. And some of them ends up being very exasperated.
So I agree. Using this, actually, all these tools can reach a much larger audience. But the problem is that, again, the same group, the machiks and so on. You know, how do you reach that group? Basically, how do you reach that group? Because we must not forget, not everybody has access to the computer or has all the time to read or has a smartphone. Well, most people have smartphones, but not everybody does, and that is still a challenge. But I agree with you, all those things have actually been thought through. That's why there's all these things that has come up. Because there were portals in the past, but nobody read them. Okay, actually all these policies are up there for anybody who cares to read. But I think maybe not in the most palatable way, because it looks like a staff paper. In fact, all of them are staff papers, so there's, you must really enjoy reading all these things. It's more like a chore,